Culture has developed that contributes to and reinforces our short attention spans. This culture has been created by tech companies, film, TV, and advertising, by social media platforms and organizational structure, and also by all of us. Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Vicky. So a few weeks ago, a creator by the name of DJ Magic posted a video that's titled "The Chronically Online Will Be the New Underclass." So that sounds really scintillating, but let's start with a definition of chronically online. So being chronically online describes someone who is so immersed in internet culture, social media, and digital life that their perception, language, and behavior becomes detached from offline reality, often marked by excessive screen time, constant checking, emotional dependence on online validation, and familiarity with niche online slang. And one of the key characteristics is excessive digital engagement. And I think we can all say that these days it is very difficult to be away from our phones. And the point that DJ Magic made was that it is now becoming harder and harder to opt out online, or finding things that you can do that doesn't involve our phones or digital devices.
In this theory, if the digital environment is polluted and unsafe, and only the privileged have a means to opt out, then those who must stay and work within it, whether as users or creators, end up holding undesirable roles. They will end up having dirty jobs. This automatically places them into a lower caste within the digital hierarchy.
This highlights the importance of being able to opt out of social media and being interconnected digitally through the use of things like third spaces, or if you're privileged enough, having the luxury of not needing third spaces to be able to do things outside of social media. So third space refers to the social surrounding that separate from the two usual social environments of home and work. So these things can include churches, cafes, bars, clubs, libraries, gyms, bookstores, parks, and theaters. But increasingly, we're seeing that people of lower socioeconomic status being unable to afford to go to these third places, or have these third places that used to be free be completely eroded out for the sake of capitalism.
It's called gentrification.
Furthermore, it's to no one's surprise that people of higher socioeconomic status can afford to spend money on things like recreations, sports, activities for the kids, camps. The things that kids used to be able to do or didn't cost as much money are being priced out of the lower class and even middle and middle upper class. It's no surprise that children are being raised more and more on screens. And actually, screen-free time is a sign of privilege. It is no longer the norm. And many of us will point the fingers at parents and say, well, it's a parent's fault that their kids are getting all of these screen time. I mean, if the parents just do their job and parent, then, what's a big deal? I'm not excusing parents who neglect the kids and leave them on screens, but I think it is really hard for parents these days to have a completely screen-free child when they're constantly surrounded by peers that are on their phones and social media and things like that. It is also really hard for parents because of the demands of their jobs. I think we can all remember COVID, when parents saw that they had to homeschool their kids in front of a screen, and how disruptive it was for the parents, because they had to work remotely and parent the kid. Like, what else are you supposed to resort to except screens? People of higher socioeconomic status can afford to have their kids in camps. They can afford to hire nannies. They can afford all those extracurricular activities like sports, which can be very, very expensive. Think of all the equipment as well as time away from work and the chauffeuring around of children.
This is the way I live. Little boy still pushing big wheels.
And even for those of us who don't have an addictive personality, when we have all of these stressors in our lives, and everyone's stressed out these days, scrolling on the phone is it's like a pressure valve that you're releasing a little bit of the stress. because scrolling on the phone and doing something that is mindless puts very little cognitive pressure on your brain. And so you're just sort of doing it to release the stress. It's something you can control. You can have some dopamine hits and it feels good. And then on top of that, all of our apps have been socially engineered to grab our attention because our attention is a commodity. When these apps are free, we are the commodity. Our attention is a commodity. And we are increasingly being shaped by these apps, by what's being fed to us, by us getting told by all these things, all these apps that surround us that says, you should aspire to have this next vacation, you should aspire to have this big house, you should aspire to have a house that looks like the magazines, you should aspire to get the next LED red light mask. I want to reference this book called Attention Span by Gloria Mark. It is a book that's been out for a few years already, but the amount of research that went into this is really astounding, and I recommend everyone to give it a read. Our attention span has been declining over the years. We can't even sit through a TV or a movie anymore without wanting to glance at our phones. There was a study in 2004 that showed that the average attention span on computer tasks to be 150 seconds. This is eroded to 44 seconds by 2021. In addition, putting our own individual natures aside, a culture has developed that contributes to and reinforces our short attention spans. This culture has been created by tech companies, film, TV, and advertising, by social media platforms and organizational structure, and also by all of us. We contribute to a digital culture that reinforces our short attention spans by sharing content and stories through videos and social media and developing new platforms to enable this. And completely shutting ourselves out of the digital world doesn't work because we live in an interrelated web of people and information, and together we're all caught up in an ever-increasing circulation of information. And all of this leads to the potential phenomenon where people of lower socioeconomic status cannot afford to be off screen. It is just not possible at this day and age to have a completely free digital footprint for most of us. And as much as we want to vilify parents who put the kids on screens, but what else are you supposed to do when you are working a really stressful job or sometimes even multiple jobs and you're still supposed to parent to a child? I'm sorry, but TV is going to be the parent. And so we're seeing this divide between the haves and the have-nots, where those of higher socioeconomic status can afford to have the kids be off screen. They can afford to have the kids in camps, go on vacations, hire a nanny, do things that are engaging for the brain and preserve their attention span, whereas people of lower socioeconomic status increasingly find themselves becoming more dependent on these things. It's not to vilify anyone. This is a systems issue.
If only the wealthy can afford to be offline, then the rest of us will be trapped in a caste system that we did not consent to, yet we're addicted to, and potentially won't be able to move ourselves out of. We can still build places rooted in clarity and care and connection. I just think that exists in real life.
So I've talked about the various ways in which our attention span has been stolen from us, and also how, if we don't put a concerted effort in, this world will become one in which we're separated by the haves and the have-nots. Of course, it is impossible to actually separate ourselves at this point from the digital technology world. We're just too enmeshed in it. Hopefully, if we can mindfully and intentionally set boundaries between us and technology, hopefully if enough of us enact on this, we can maybe stem the tide, or at least protect our well-being. And this is where I want to reference another book called The Happiness Advantage by Shawn. There's a lot of really great research in this as well. And Shawn also talks about how to separate ourselves from here and the information and the technological world. And he talks a lot about What are the different ways we can improve our moods without resorting to doom scrolling? We can meditate. Monks who spent years meditating actually grew the left prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that's most responsible for feeling happy. And you don't have to do it 20 minutes a day. You can just start with 5. Most people see a benefit with just 5 minutes of observing their breaths. Also, meditation or just simple breath work is a really great way of resetting your neuronal activity and bring calmness to this swirling vortex of feelings. You can also find something to look forward to. People who thought about watching their favorite music raised their endorphin levels by 27%. And so the most enjoyable part of booking a vacation often is not the vacation itself, but the anticipation of being there. And how many of us have thoughts like this in which, we're in our office cubicle and it's terrible outside, there's a snowstorm, and we should be feeling miserable because we haven't seen the sun for like 3 months. But we're feeling happy because we know that we just booked tickets to our next vacation. It's going to be a sunny destination and we're going to be on a beach somewhere, or we're going to be like going through Vietnam, just backpacking. And that sense of anticipation gets us through the day. Another thing we can practice is to commit conscious acts of kindness. And so that can look like volunteering. It can look like as simple as opening the door for someone, donating some money. For those of us who can't afford to, of course. Individuals who commit 5 acts of kindness over the day has a lasting effect of happiness. You can also infuse positivity into your surrounding. So people who have pictures of their loved ones or their loved pets are doing it for their own mental health. It makes them happy. So if it makes you happy, do it. Exercise is another really great way of raising endorphins. But for those of us who can't physically exercise or don't have the time to exercise because we're busy, you can exercise a signature strength. So for some people, that might be learning about something. Some people get really excited and happy when they are learning something new. So lean into that. That is your strength. For other people, it might be listening to a loved one talk about their day and feeling like they have connected with that person. So whatever your signature strength is, practicing more of that can raise your level of happiness. So these are the things we can do to cultivate our happiness. But on a day-to-day basis, there are also other things we can do to reduce our digital hook. So how much free will do we have over our digital overlords? How much human agency can we really wield in this digital age? In The Attention Span, Gloria Marx gave a few ideas. You can self-regulate by changing your structure. So things like how you set up your desktop, your phones, you can turn off your notifications so you're not getting pinged. You can self-regulate by creating hooks. And hooks are things that pull you out of your digital trap. So those might be things like allowing yourself to scroll for 10 minutes before you have to make a phone call. That way you know that when the time for the phone call or the meeting to start, that's when you have to put your phone away. You can self-regulate by not switching your screen to social media sites. There are also apps that help to block certain sites. For those of us who lack the will to do that, we have apps to do that for us. And you can design your day to achieve a balance. That would look like blocking off your calendar for something that is completely digital free. So that could be reading a book, going for a walk. I am convinced that a lot of millennial people pick up running just so that we can be outside and not be attached to our phones. And it's important that those times are blocked off in your calendar, especially if you're someone who works from home. So then you're sure that you won't be interrupted during your digital free time. Anyhow, my purpose for creating this video is not doom and gloom. It can feel like doom and gloom outside right now, but we have to concentrate on things that we can control. These videos are to bring attention to some of the things that I care about, but also to provide solutions so that you can do something about it, so that we can all do something about it. If you've enjoyed the content of this video, please comment and I'll be sure to comment back.